What's up? This is Release Rotation. I'm your host, John W. Snyder. It's Tuesday, September 16th. I can't believe it's already the middle of September, which means October is almost here. It's all the months now, right? September, October, November, December, all the months. We're in them. We have started the countdown to the end of the year. There's still quite a few days left in the year, but we are in that last quarter of the year. So I hope you are accomplishing the things you wanted to accomplish this year. And if not, there's still time. There is still time. But if you are new to Release Rotation, I like to talk sports for the first little bit, and then I like to talk whatever after. Before, when I used to do this, and I had this show on Anchor, which is now was acquired by Spotify, I would talk sports, and then I would have like a commercial break, and then go into other random stuff about life and marketing and what I notice and that kind of stuff. So if you want to stick around for that, great. If not, I get it. If you want to hear my silly, sometimes stupid sports rants or sports talk stuff, I'm just another human being trying to do my thing, creating content and sports stuff. And I'm sure these are takes you've probably heard elsewhere, but maybe not. Or I just might want to talk about some things that are big in the news. So for instance, let's just start with the NFL. We just finished week 3 of the NFL, and there were some surprises so far. There have been both ways with teams who haven't won games are the biggest things I notice. So obviously, let's talk about the Chiefs starting the season 0-2. Not great. Still a lot of football left. Not horrible, but it's the Chiefs. They won 2 straight Super Bowls, then they made it to a 3rd straight and lost to the Eagles. And then they just lost to the Eagles on Sunday. So yes, there is a lot of football left, but should the Chiefs be hitting the panic button yet? Probably not. I'm sure Chiefs fans are. That's a whole different story. Fans are a lot different than, the organizations themselves, obviously. But for the Chiefs to start out 0-2 after going to 3 straight Super Bowls, maybe some concern. I mean, I know they're hurting with receivers being out and that kind of thing. I get that. And so still a lot of football left. Hopefully they get those receivers back. I know we have a suspension, injuries, and that kind of thing. But 0-2 for the Chiefs. Okay, not great. And then I think I wrote it down here. Let me see. There's 10 teams right now that are 0-2, but I wrote down the 4 biggest surprises I think were the biggest surprises to start out the season 0-2. Obviously the Chiefs. Then we have the Texans. And then I put the Bears and the Giants down. I know the Bears have a new coach. I know things are different in Chicago. Caleb Williams, though, is not a rookie anymore. But the Bears are 0-2. A lot of football left. Giants are 0-2 with Russell Wilson. And I don't know why. On Sunday, I was watching the Cowboys-Giants game, and I saw they scored, and for some reason, I thought the game was over. I was like, oh, the Giants are going to win this. I don't know. I think because I was probably switching back between games, and I thought the Giants, had it locked. And then we got to a friend's house, and then I saw the score that they lost in overtime. Was not expecting that. So there you go. There's that, the Giants. So for sure, the Texans and the Chiefs are my 2 biggest surprises starting out the season 0-2. A lot of football left. We'll see what happens. But I also think it's funny, and I talk about this, preseason rankings. I mean, obviously, there's not really rankings in NFL like there are in college, and I'll talk about college rankings here in a bit. But the power rankings for the NFL, I just think are funny. And I get it because of the team and what they've done. But the Chiefs, last week after starting the season 0-1, were number 3 in the power rankings. Now they're 0-2, and they're number 8. So there's a lot of teams with much better records than they have. And I get it. They've played some tougher teams. I think both teams they've played are 2-0, right? And so the other big news, which I say big news, it's turned into a talking point with Tom Brady, minority owner of the Raiders, who also is in the broadcast booth for Fox. I think it was like a 10-year deal he signed with Fox for like $300 and something million. Something insane. Good for him. But now the talk is because last night, Monday Night Football, the Raiders played the Chargers. He was in the coach's booth up top, or the owner's booth, but he had a headset on and all of this, and they're making a big deal about it because he also calls games. Well, the owners approved this last year, that this was okay. I don't know all the details. I just know that it's turned into this huge talking point that should Tom Brady be doing this? Should he be able to own a team and call games? So for instance, he is calling the Cowboys-Bears game this week coming up, And then the following week, the Bears play the Raiders. So everyone's saying conflict of interest, all this stuff. I don't know. I know like the pre-production stuff, like he has to be remote for those. He can't go to any practices. And all of this was approved, I think, back in October of last year, whenever the owners got together. I don't know when that was, but they approved it. The NFL has approved this. So I don't think it's his fault, obviously. But is it the owner's fault for letting another minority owner do this? Is it the NFL's fault? Is it even a big deal? Does it matter that he's in the booth calling games and is also an owner of the Raiders? And they said that, Chip Kelly said, who's the offensive coordinator for the Raiders, says he talks to Tom Brady multiple times a week. Pete Carroll, head coach, talks to Brady. They go over stuff, offensive stuff. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I just know it's turned into this huge talking point of, should this be allowed? So I don't have an answer. It's just turned into a debate. But what do you think? Should Tom Brady be allowed to be minority owner and call games? And is there a way that he could not call games of teams that the Raiders are going to eventually play? Like, can they figure that out? Is that a possibility? You would think so. There's enough teams and games, and I don't think the Raiders, obviously, they're not going to play everybody. And so you think they could figure that out just to avoid the conflict. But I don't know. That turned into a huge deal yesterday when they showed him up in the booth and the headset on. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm sure that there will be more dialogue and discussions about this. And if that's okay, that's fine. What else do we have? So that's NFL. It's early, a lot of football left. I'm glad it's here. I love football season. I just wish the weather was a little bit cooler for football. You want that good, nice, cool, crisp football weather, but it is still summer, so games are hot. I think it was the Titans game yesterday. It was like 86, or on Sunday, it was like 86 degrees in Nashville. And on the field, it gets even hotter. So, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? That's how it works. It'll cool off, and then we'll have games in the rain, games in the snow. It evens out, I guess. But I just like to watch football when it's a little cooler. But then again, I like to watch football anytime. And if you're a football fan, I'm sure it doesn't matter. So what am I even talking about? Something else interesting that I just saw a little bit ago was Amazon Prime is adding 4 hours now of Masters coverage for next year when the Masters, I almost said kicks off, when the Masters tees off in April. So like on Thursday, Friday, the first rounds were on like ESPN and ESPN Plus, Paramount Plus, whatever. But now Amazon Prime, which I have my own issues with streaming episode. Every time I get on here and talk, I'm frustrated with streaming. But Amazon Prime now is dipping their toes in the water. And starting this next year, there will be 2 more hours on Thursday and 2 more hours on Friday morning before the ESPN broadcast on Amazon. So I saw Kyle Porter. Used to work for CBS. He's a golf writer and awesome dude, super smart guy. Check out his stuff. I don't know his handle on like Twitter, but Kyle Porter is his name. And he now has a newsletter / podcast / whatever called Normal Sport about golf. But he had a comment about like, or he tweeted, I'm going to just paraphrase it, but in 1995, it was like, you'd be lucky to see the back nine on a Sunday on TV. And now you get to see Tom Kim bogey hole number 1 on a Thursday or whatever, something like that, which is true now. Like there's so much coverage of golf now, which is great. It's great for the game. It's great for advertisers. If you like golf, it's great, especially with the 4 majors. I love that. I would love for every single golfer and every one of their hits to be televised somehow. And so it looks like we're getting closer. I mean, why not, right? You got 87 streaming platforms. We got Amazon. We might as well throw some other rounds on Netflix. And what else we got? You just do it. Like, why not? And so, but I thought that was funny and very true and very accurate of where golf broadcast is right now. So I think it's great though for the game. I love it. But again, another streaming service. If you don't have Amazon Prime, you want to see the first 2 hours on a Thursday and Friday of the Masters, you got to get Amazon Prime. You can get more golf in. So it's good though. It's good for the game. And then I also want to talk about college football, the AP Top 25. I always say this, pre-rankings are so stupid. Preseason rankings. We shouldn't have preseason rankings in college football. Wait till after week 3, which is basically where we're at, right? We finished week 3. Great. Let's rank everybody because I think it's the first 3 weeks teams get weeded out and get figured out in the first 3 weeks. So for instance, number 11, South Carolina, number 12, Clemson, and number 18, South Florida are now gone from the top 25. Clemson started the season in the top 10. And South Carolina's number 11. I don't think they were in the top 10, but they were right there. But Clemson was in the top 10. And then South Florida just got worked by Miami. But again, preseason rankings, just wait till now. So those teams are out of the top 25. And now 3 teams have entered the top 25. Georgia Tech, who beat Clemson. And then you have Vanderbilt, who I also think beat South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. And they're number 20, Georgia Tech 18. And USC, University of Southern California, is now number 25 in the rankings. 3 out, 3 in after week 3. I didn't really pay attention to week 1 and 2. If anybody, I'm sure, some teams left and came in, but who cares? It's week 1 and week 2 when you play nobody for the most part. There were some top 25 matchups, but for the most part, we had these teams playing nobodies. And so there we are. Top 25. Let's rank them now. It's fine. It is fine. That's all I have for sports. So anyways, that's it for sports. So if you want to stick around, great. If not, great. I don't blame you. But I just want to talk about a little bit about content creation. I took some notes down here and just the whole thing with the algorithm. And I know this has been talked about. I'm not the first person to say this, obviously, but with TikTok, things changed, right? Before, it mattered how many followers you have. Now, it doesn't matter at all how many followers you have. And I'm going to use my own data to explain this, but I post shorts. So the main reason I do this podcast is so I can create content and I can create reels and shorts and that kind of thing from this content, splice it, make them under a minute, put them on social media and get that stuff out there. So creating and publishing are like my 2 biggest things. And the more you do it, the better you get, whatever, that whole thing. But the algorithm now has changed things. Just for instance, I have a buddy, which he has gained a ton more followers, but him and his wife got tattoos on their hands where they hold hands. So like a dot, it's a star and then some stars and something else. Anyways, super simple tattoos. They just had a picture of them holding hands, however they hold hands. He is a realtor in Orange County, but at the time, I think he's got over 1,000 or 2,000 followers. But when he posted this video, giving a shout out to the tattoo artist who did the tattoos, he had like 250 followers. Okay. 250 followers. I just checked that reel that he posted has well over 10 million. I think it was 12 million yesterday or more. 12 million views. So it does not matter followers. Obviously, if you're selling something or you have a business, you are going to get those followers who follow you for that reason. And so you do cater to those people, obviously. But it's the same thing with like, if you remember the guy on the skateboard drinking the ocean spray and the Fleetwood Mac song. Like that guy was nobody, had however many followers, and that thing blew up. I don't even know what that number is now, but I bet that thing's had 50 million views easily. I'm probably way low. But my point is, the algorithm now doesn't care about followers, which is great for small creators. And I say that because I'm a perfect example of that. And that's why I wanted to bring that up. And so I post on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and I put my podcast on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. But as far as my the shorter content, the reels, the shorts under a minute and a half, I do that on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram. On TikTok and YouTube, for instance, like TikTok, I have not even 200 followers, but I'm getting 1,000 views per video, which is great. My goal is to always somehow, some way, I want my content to have more views than followers. And it's interesting. I've always wanted that since before this whole algorithm thing changed, but I guess I was right in that aspect of it. But now it's even more obvious that followers don't matter. And then even on YouTube, I created my own YouTube channel for release rotation. I have 5 subscribers. My last 3 or 4 reels though, or shorts, all have over 1,500 views, 1,200 views. So that's pretty good percentage of people to watch my shorts versus how many followers. So 5 followers, 1,200 views. Seriously, followers don't matter. And that's wild to me that it's gotten to that point. And so I just say that, don't give up. If you're a content creator, keep creating content and keep publishing that content. The more you create, the more content you're going to have. And that's why I do this podcast mainly, is because My podcast has maybe 1 listen or 2 listen per episode, but I really just create this content to be able to create shorts and reels. And I say all of that also because if you have a business, if you're a realtor and you don't have a podcast, what are you doing? Like, if you're a small business and you don't have a podcast, make a podcast. I will help you. It's not hard and it's free. You can literally create a podcast basically for free, if not for sure under $500. Okay? Like, I just use my iPhone. This is a $99 microphone going into my computer. And then I bought a software called Riverside FM that I think I pay $140 a year for, $120, something like that. Somewhere in that range. So that's like it's like $12 a month, $14 a month, something to create this, put this out every day, create content. But my point is, like, now my buddy who's a realtor in Orange County, where 3 million people live in Orange County, he kind of got a little more of a following, and it's people from all over the world, but he should create a podcast, talk about the real estate market in Orange County every week, once a week, talk for 15, 20 minutes. You're going to get 3 or 4 pieces of content out of there, maybe more, that are all around a minute, under a minute. Get those on social media. I guarantee you those will blow up too. And so I'm a huge proponent of podcasts. There's another guy, his name's Sebastian Rusk. I think that's how I say it. Sorry if I'm wrong, but I met him actually here in Orange County a long time ago. He lives in Florida now, but he has this whole company of around starting and having a podcast, and it's called Podcasts Suck If You Don't Have One. Like, his whole thing is, and he's right, has the same idea and the same mindset. And that's where I get some of these ideas too from, because he's really smart and he's been doing it forever too. And he just created a business out of it, which is awesome. And I love that. And he's good at it. And that's his whole thing, is just, you have a 20-minute podcast, 30-minute podcast once a week, you're going to generate so much content. And if you do a podcast every day, which I'm trying to do that just to create content. Because again, like I said, nobody listens to my podcast episodes, and that's fine. But what this is doing is allowing me to create video content, reels, shorts, TikTok videos, to put on those platforms that way. And so for me, and I know some people, like there's other people out there who create specifically reels for those platforms. There's this guy I follow. He's actually originally from Orange County. His name's Brock Johnson. He started a whole business around Instagram and helping people create content for Instagram, get followers, get views, figure out hooks, figure out reel ideas, carousel ideas, post ideas. Like, that's his baby. That's his thing. And he has a podcast also where he goes deeper into this stuff, but then he also just creates reels specifically for content he talks about. Whereas with me and podcasting, I just take content from the podcast and create it, where he is creating reels, standalone reels, I guess you could say. And so, long-winded, I know. I just say all this because if you are on Instagram already and TikTok and YouTube, just keep creating content. Figure out a way to create content. Figure out a way to create a podcast and get content out of it. There's no reason for you to not be creating content around your brand, your business, that kind of thing. And then podcasting just makes it even easier. And so that's part of, like I said, why I do it. But I also like to just talk about sports. And I'm solo doing this. I would love to have a show with a co-host. I think that would be so fun to sit down once a week. I do have another chair right here that we could do this in my garage. And so, I say all that, and I wrote down just some stuff that I wrote down from, this is as much for myself as it is for others, but I wrote, don't stop, keep creating content every day, keep publishing. Followers don't matter like they used to. Be yourself, create what you want to create, ignore the haters. And the more you do, the better you get. The more stuff you create, the better you get. And so just create stuff. Like, just for instance, last week I talked for 30 minutes and only about 5 minutes of it was sports. The rest was stuff just on my heart and stuff that I wanted to talk about. I didn't even publish it. I published none of it because I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I don't need to. And so, but I could always go back to it, take that content, take pieces of content, make reels, shorts, whatever it might be. And so I just say all this because I'm passionate about it. I don't have a business to do this. I would be awesome. I would love to help people create podcasts and content and that kind of thing. So if you need help, let me know. But that's where I'm at. I'm trying to create stuff, and like I basically get in here in my podcast studio garage every day, every other day, talk for 20, 30 minutes, and I get some kind of content out of here. Like for instance, this might have been, it was last week, but I talked about how I was wrong about the Packers. It was literally a 20-second clip, and it's got over 2,000 views on YouTube Shorts right now about the Packers and how I think they're really good. Their defense is great, and they could go really far in the playoffs. And of course, most of it was, that's the other thing with comments and so that kind of thing. I worked at Apple retail for 10 years, and only about 3 years of that I was on the sales floor. The rest of the time I was doing merchandising and visuals and IT stuff basically. But man, I remember, and I was there like 2011 to 2021, late 20 or mid 2021. So 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, I was on the sales floor, and that's when iPhone like craze, like the iPhone launches we had lines so long, so out the door. Like there were days where I would help over 100 people easily when new product came out. And there were those times where, and this is the same thing for comments online about your video, your content, your whatever. But I'd help 100 people, and I'd have one person just be angry at me, mad about something, just so angry. And then 99 customers who were the most happy, excited people to be there, that kind of thing. And then there's that one person that you dwell on that was negative, wanted to talk to a manager because of whatever. And it's just a bummer that we as humans let that happen, that we dwell on the one bad one versus the 99 good ones. And so try to reverse that thinking. So like, obviously we're going to see him or we're going to hear him or whatever. Like for instance, I say this because I posted about, the Packers or whatever. And then one of the comments was, oh, you play defense and score and you're going to win games. It's like, thanks, bro. Thanks for listening though, because you watched it. So I appreciate that. But then all the others were like, go Packers, love the Packers, like whatever it might be. And so that's another piece of all of this is we are human, and it's hard to separate sometimes those negative comments. And some of us have thicker skin than others. Like, I don't care. I think it's hilarious when people do that stuff because I actually feel sorry for them that they took their time to comment on something I did and say something negative. Like, I feel sorry for you, bro. Like, why are you wasting your time and energy on commenting on my post about the Packers in a negative way? And so that's also why, like, when I see posts that I like or whatever, try to post something positive. Like, there's enough negativity in this world. We all know that. I mean, turn on any of the national media and all they do is sell fear. Doesn't matter. Fox, CNN, they all sell fear. And so don't watch that stuff either. Like, don't let that negativity in. There's no reason to watch it. Like, obviously, if you want to stay up on the news, stay up on the news, but you don't need to watch Fox News 10 hours a day or CNN 10 hours a day, or let alone any shows for 10 hours a day or TV channels for 10 hours a day. But I'm just saying, try to block out those negative comments and the haters. I know it's hard as humans, like I said, because like that one negative comment overshadows those 99 awesome interactions. And so that's something at Apple that we always talked about was you got to let it go. You can't worry about it. You had 99 other interactions that were awesome with people that love you and love the product and loved working with you. So who cares about the one person who was mad because they didn't know their password, but they took it out on you or whatever. Anyways, I think that's about all I have. I will say though, with TikTok, like I said, another piece of data that I've looked at with my own stuff is when I talk sports and I post sports reels, and if I post it on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts and TikTok, I'll have over 1,000 views on sports stuff. Instagram, it's like 200. But then on Instagram, if I remix a reel, so on Instagram, I like to find like funny reels. Like lately, it's just been people like wiping out on bikes and putting music to it and making a comment like going into Monday like this or, whatever it might be. Those reels blow up and they'll have over 1,000 views. But if it's just like what I do here and then post me talking about sports on Instagram, crickets. So maybe that's on me figuring out, okay, how do I make this sports stuff better? Do I need graphics? Because that's also what I'm trying to figure out to make this better is overlaying pictures and graphics over what I'm talking about would make it a little bit more entertaining. I get that. I'm trying to figure that out. Like I said, it's a work in progress. It's a journey. And that's what I love about it. And doing this is something new every day. You learn something new every day.